Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chem201. My name is Joe Toto. I will be your guide for this Monday class. So with this short video, I wanted to just go through a few of the initial things for the class. And of course, you'll always be able to contact me through Canvas or email if you have any further questions. But when you go into Canvas on the first day of classes, you're going to see an icon looking something like this one here, and that pertains to our lab. It's actually instructions to build a hovercraft. But anyway, you're going to click on there, get into the course content, and you're going to see these modules 1, 2, and 3. You're going to have to do these before we meet for the first experiment, and we'll take a look at the schedule when that is. So the first module start here. I'm going to post this welcome video and you'll be able to check that out. Then you have this sheet here, which is the class overview and explains how we modified the lab in such a way that we can still meet during this pandemic. Essentially, we took a lab of 24 students and divided it into 3 groups of 8. I assign your groups according to the alphabet, and the first 8 of you in alphabetical order in group A, the next are in B, and the last bunch are in C. You can always check to see what group you're in by clicking people over here, and then there's a tab for groups. And so that's what this sheet here talks about. Also, this talks about when you are asked to come and do a lab in person, you should arrive at least 20 minutes early because they're going to take your temperature and check you in. And then especially the first lab where there's a lot to do and it's going to take the whole lab period. So we want to get that started right away. So you can read that class overview. The syllabus and schedule are here. The syllabus is a file which gives you a course description, the objectives, the topics we'll be covering, the pre and co-requisite, the 200 lab, and the co-requisite, the 201 lecture. Some of the equipment that you're going to need here. We're going to supply you with this new 201 lab book because we had to modify it for this new format of online and in-person labs. What else you're going to need here is, so you don't need a lab manual. We're going to give it to you. In fact, I'm going to post them mostly in the assignment sections. That's where you'll be downloading the lab and uploading your reports. And we'll take a look at that in a second. Anyway, you're going to need safety goggles, face mask, calculator, V629 mask, a laboratory notebook, and lastly, a flash drive for recording your data in lab so you can have it at home to work up. Talks about the experiments you're going to be doing, talks about attendance and how that factors into your grade. You want to try to make those 4 mandatory meetings if at all possible. There are ways to make them up, but it's a logistics nightmare with the checking in and finding available spaces, but it can be done. Safety, you should read through that. There's going to be also another online part for safety and accompanied by a quiz. All right, so that is the syllabus in a nutshell. Let's take a quick peek at the schedule. So here we have our tentative schedule, and the first column is the week column. So week 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Week 1, no one is going to meet here on campus. You're going to look at this online introduction video and get used to what's going on, clear up any questions, and see, if we can juggle any students here or there for classes and get organized. The next column is when things are due. So you're going to need to go through the online material, those modules 1, 2, and 3, and take those 2 quizzes in that first week. Okay. Now, the second week we have here is where group A, the first 8 people in the alphabet in your lab, are going to come in and do that first experiment, which is the molar mass of a solid and chemical kinetics. And group A can also be working on the online lab, which group B and C, that's the only thing they can do, the online lab 1. And that online lab 1 is the integrated rate law topic. So you'll be able to download those assignments and look at them in this assignment section. Now, week 3, notice there's no Monday labs in week 3. We have off on Monday. It's a holiday. That goes to week 4. Our Monday group B will do experiment 1, and C and A will be working on that same online assignment 1. And then week 5 here, group C will come in, that final group of our class, and do experiment 1. And we see over here that experiment 1 in person and the online activity will be due. Now, when are they going to be due? We look down here at note A, which refers to the due date up here. So down here in note A says all reports should be uploaded into Canvas by Sunday, 11:59 at the end of the indicated week. So the indicated week is March 5th. So I don't know what that Sunday is. Let me look it up. It's, let's see, whatever the Sunday is. So if that's Monday, the 1st, sorry, that's why I was confused. It's March 1st. So that Sunday is going to be the 7th. So these 2 reports would be due March 7th by 11:59 p.m. And these are all on Sundays. So the second 2 labs will be due that Sunday, the week of March 22nd. And so that Sunday is March 28th, and so forth. All right, so that's the experiments. And then once we get through that first experiment cycle, then we start group A all over again. Wait, where am I? Group A starts on experiment 2, then group B experiment 2, then group C experiment 2, then that set of labs are due, and then all over again. Group A for 3, group B, and so forth. And we always have an associated online assignment for the other groups to be working on to keep you guys busy and learning as much as you possibly can in this class. All right, so now we've gone through the introduction video, which I'll post. You're going to read the overview of class. We just talked about the syllabus and schedule. And then you can go off and do module 2 and 3. Read a little bit about safety, watch some videos, equipment video, and take your safety procedure and equipment quiz. And then you'll move on to module 3, which again has you look at some experiment use videos. Namely, you'll be looking at the proper procedure for pipetting, using the burette, using the spectrophotometer, and weighing things in lab. And then you're going to take an associated quiz for that. And then you'll be ready for experiment 1. But you should try to get through module 1, 2, and 3 in the first week of classes. All right. So over here is where I'm going to have your assignments posted. So if you click on assignments here, you can do the pre-lab techniques quiz, and then you can download the first in-lab experiment 1. You don't have to bring this to class because I will be handing out a sheet of paper which will give you instructions for the procedure. So this is the whole lab here that you should read, and it has a background on the theory and equations that you should be familiar with to successfully accomplish the lab. But you don't have to bring that to lab. I will copy an abridged procedure for everyone doing the lab. And you can download the online assignment 1 that has to do with integrated rate labs. Now, this is where you're going to be uploading your assignments once they're done. So here are the integrated rate law documents. This is a Word file, or if you don't have Word, I have it in PDF, so you can read it in either one. You're going to need some student data in Excel or a PDF file, so whichever you can read. And then you can look at this video that I prepared to help you prepare your report to upload here in this section. So you'll be uploading that and following the directions. And all your assignments are going to be put in this assignment area. We have the second experiment, equilibrium. It's not available to you right now. I haven't fine-tuned it yet, but as soon as I do, I will make all of these available for you. And this is where you're going to find them, and this is where you're going to upload your reports. And then you can check out your grades here in this section and so forth. All right. So there's your short introduction. Welcome to the class. And I hope that you get as much as possible out of this, and it prepares you for organic chemistry or the next step in your career. Thanks again.